do I do car maintenance? Well, let's clarify this. Is this how do we maintain our car, or is this actually how do we get our hands dirty?
Whatever you want it to be, Charles. This is your topic.
Oh, I put that in to ask somebody else because I do. I can tell you, I pay for it. I watch the little numbers. I pay somebody to change my oil. I rotate my tires. I do an inspection on my car every 50,000 miles. That's what I do. But I pay for it. So hopefully somebody else can tell me what they do.
I can change my wipers.
Yep.
I can change my headlights if I can find them.
Okay, I've done that.
Well, because like on my Prius, when I had my Prius, you couldn't actually get to the lights. Like the actual official way to replace the headlights, take off the front quarter panel.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, that's dumb. I'm not doing that.
That's super dumb.
Yeah. And so with my new car, you can actually reach the bulb and you can take it out. I can do that. I can add wiper fluid. I can change my air filter.
I haven't found where I keep forgetting to look for where my air filter is.
And I can usually jump start the car if I have.
Usually.
Yeah.
I mean, and everything you're doing, if people don't know how to do it, they're relative.
Read it, Joe. Read it in her voice. I dare you. Read it in her voice. Come on.
There's a light bulb stuck in my van headlight area because Joe dropped it.
That's a great man.
So she's not wrong. So she needed her light bulb replaced, and I didn't know exactly where it was. So I looked up on Google, on YouTube specifically, that I was like, okay, on this make and this year, how do you change the light bulb? And you can do that for all the different maintenance, the relatively small maintenance that Kurt was just stating. You can do that yourself for way cheaper than taking it in to do. Like changing a light bulb, they're going to charge you like $50 just to change a light bulb, whereas you go buy a light bulb for $6 for a 2-pack and do it yourself. And so, yes, my wife is correct. I had a 2-pack. I pulled out. I found where it was. I pulled it out. I disconnected it. I put the new one in, but I didn't push it in enough. So when I went to stick it in, it popped off.
We're talking light bulbs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I'm behaving. Kurt's making faces.
On my model, you have to push it in until it clicks, and I didn't push the light bulb in until it clicked it sufficiently. So when I tried to put it back in the socket, it popped out, and now unless I would have fully take off the panel, Kurt disappeared. Unless I want to fully take off the panel, that light bulb will be in there for a very long time. So, yeah. Say what you're gonna say.
Roll that dice.
It's when Brian gets on something, and I can read his mind. It was good. And Joe saw.
How about you, Charles? How about you? Oh, crap! You already said something.
No. So in general, though, I'm glad you brought up some of that stuff. Yeah, I love YouTube. I stripped down. I stripped down. Yeah. I'll finish that thought. Look, y'all know me enough that when a show's brought to you by the letter Scotch, the thoughts are going to be a little disjointed. Okay. Hold on now. I've established I'm not a mechanical guy, right? It's not in my nature to take something apart and put it back together again. However, I had this motorcycle before one of my first motorcycles I had, and it got to a point where I forget what the issue was, but there's this issue. So it sat in my garage for a long time, and I didn't want to sell it. And I had time and energy in my hands. So I said, I will try YouTube. And sure enough, there was a video of a guy who had the same problem with his bike, and it showed how to strip it down of all the parts. Thank you, Kurt. And put it back together. I will say this. I did it successfully. If you consider I only had 2 screws left over and I didn't know where they went. And the bike started. It would not start before. And so whatever I did to fix with the carburetor and other stuff, it worked. I was very proud of myself. Then I turned around and sold it for what I paid for it. But in general, yeah, light bulbs, I can change a tire, for sure.
Yeah. And in all seriousness, I mean, when it comes to car repair, honestly, even if you have to bring it to a shop, check out YouTube first, so you have an idea of what goes into making that repair, so that you can keep your mechanic honest, even if you're not going to do it yourself.
Oh, yeah, I've seen videos where they took it to somebody for a tune-up before taking it in for an oil change, just to see what the automotive shop would try to claim needed to be done.
Yep.
And so they did kind of an expose on all of these extra things that they tacked on just because they do that all the time.
And and I know it's a weird thing in some places, but if you don't have a window where I can watch the shop and see my car, I'm not leaving it with you. I might not say to watch, but if you don't provide me a way to do it, I hate Pet Boys. I'll tell you that right now. We'll never have them as a sponsor because I think they're trash. And maybe you've had a good experience, but let me tell you, every experience I've had ended up something like this. I had a PT Cruiser. I loved my PT Cruiser. And my wife was driving it one day. Something went wrong. Her father had it towed to Pet Boys because for whatever reason, we never used them, never thought about them. We had our own mechanic. For whatever reason, he took it there. Sure, he's helping us out. He's paying for it, whatever. I'd never used them at the time. Didn't have any problem with them. Overpriced, tacked on things that I knew weren't necessary because, like I said, I loved my car. I might not be mechanical, but I learned about that car. I loved my PT Cruiser. Just shy of joining like the PT Cruiser fan club because I just don't do that kind of thing. That's like crazy. But I loved my car. And it tacked on this stuff and he paid for it without asking. I'm like, no, this is dumb. It's almost like clear undercoating. That's fake, man. But what killed me about Pet Boys, and it happened more than once, so we gave him a second shot, they did it again, is some dumb bleep. Instead of everybody's ever lifted up a car hood, even to this day, I haven't had a Tesla, so I'm assuming Tesla might not have it. Either it has it's fancy, it has hydraulics that hold it up, or it's this metal rod that has a hook on the end and you hook it into a spot on the hood and it holds the hood up. That's how you do it on pretty much every car in the freaking world. And some idiot didn't take the hook out and put it down. They slammed. I don't know how they did it, but they slammed it down and forced it shut. So we got home and I wanted to see because I'm like, no way they did this. I opened it up and I'm like, where's the rod? I can't. And I found it and where it would be in that position, but crumpled, where they'd obviously had four. How do you do that? Even they did it to my wife's van like 6 months later. They went to a different Pet Boys that her dad insisted, and I told I was like, I don't care if you're paying for it. We are never going there again. And that is a place that traditionally does not have windows where you can see what is going on with your car. If you got to hide it, I can't do it. It's crazy.
Yeah, we often go to Firestone to do our oil change. They take forever, but it is what it is. But it seems like every other time, either our windshield wiper fluid line is cut or it's been detached and it's just spraying under the hood whenever you try to activate it. And they fix it for free, but it's just like, can't you guys figure out how to close a hood without ruining?
Oh, I got you one better. When I had, he's now a director for me, but at the time he's lieutenant and earning his way up, and he was doing maintenance for my company, which is ambulances. Okay. He decided to take it from the place we had been using it because they were getting busier and busier, and it was harder to get our trucks back faster. And that's a thing for us. So he decided to try Pet Boys because they like sold him on this corporate, we'll take care of you, fleet maintenance, all this stuff, other stuff. We got tires changed. Simple, easy. They, on one of the rear tires, they didn't tighten any of the lug nuts. Literally, it's like put on and turn twice, and that's it. And the wheels almost literally fell off. And we had some very nice words for them. And we went up to corporate level, and they like, oh my God, we'll fix it. We're so sorry. And they ended up having to, because they did end up building the axle, they had to spend thousands of dollars to fix a problem because their idiot didn't. Who are you hiring in these places? And so for how I do my maintenance is I will find a place that resonates. Like I want to talk to somebody, and then I hate that we have to do this. I really do. I think it's crap, but I've seen it happen. and then I will send a random female. If they haven't met my family, it'll be somebody from my family. If they have met my family, it'll be a female friend, to see how they talk to a female. And I left the place after working with them for like 6 years because they've been so good to me and taught to us. And they understood that we were at times tight on cash, and they worked the important, like, there's like, we don't feel great about putting this together this way, but come back in 2 weeks when you have a paycheck and we'll fix the rest of it. And I was like recommending them to everybody. And then my friend took her tire up there, and she's like, oh man, they talked to me like I was an idiot, and they want to charge me this and this. Like, oh no, sure they didn't do that. And so she goes, watch. And she put me on, we went from work to there. I drove her down, and she put me on speakerphone and had it in her pocket or whatever. And sure enough, they were talking to her like a moron. And then she came out, and I went in, and they knew me, of course, and didn't know I was with her. And I brought a tire in, same tire. And they were like half price. Yeah, Charles, we got you. I mean, they treated me like a rock star because I got there when they first opened, all that jazz. And like, are you serious? And then that same guy, just, I don't know, it wasn't the owner, but this guy that was running the shop, he kind of lost his mind and started upselling me on everything. I was like, dude, I've been 6 years. Don't do that. I'll spend the money I know is right. Don't do that. And then he talked to my wife like she was an idiot. Like, there's nothing wrong with your tire. And she came home and sent me a picture on her phone, and there's obviously a big screw in the side of her tire. and that's, we were done. And so you have to find people you trust. And just because you've trusted them for, in my case, 6 years, doesn't mean they won't change. So you definitely have to find somebody. Are you guys a fan of shade tree mechanics or portable mechanics, if you will, mobile mechanics?
I am not, but that's just me.
Because
I always think that it's going to be a fly by night, scheme.
Yeah.
That it's like people selling meat out of the back of their trucks.
I did that for a minute. For a day. I did it for a day. That's a story for another time. No, I'm with you. Now, there are legit businesses that make it their business to be mobile. Usually they will call themselves a mobile mechanic, and they'll have a name brand it might be like Kurt's Mechanics, but it is a legit business website. They have something to lose. But for the most part, hey, I got this, but it's called Shade Tree Mechanic because you park your vehicle under the tree, and old Bubba will come out of his house and just tinker on it all afternoon under the shade tree. I can't do that either. I need somebody that can stand behind their work. And Charles pulls up in a white van, want to buy some meat. And with that, I think we're going to go home, everybody.